Hello skill modeling friends, and welcome back to The Pursuit. In this video I'm building a carrier display diorama from scratch in 1:72 scale. I 3D modeled the details for the carrier, including the blast deflector and the catwalk details, and I have those files available on my Patreon linked in the description so you can create a similar project. Enjoy the build. I started laying out the diorama by making a cardboard template. This allows for an inexpensive way to use trial and error to get proportions and angles right. Once satisfied with the layout, I used the template to build a wooden base using 1x2 oak for the frame and 3/16 plywood for the base. I used Varathane stain and poly to give it a finished look. To create the deck height I wanted, I used dense foam project panels from my local hardware store. I used the cardboard template as a guide on my Proxxon thermocut. The hot wire doesn't burn through the cardboard, so it can be used as a cutting guide. I stacked 3 foam panels to make identical shapes, and then I removed the angled deck section from the bottom 2 panels so that the top panel would cantilever over like the real ship. To create the pocket for the blast deflector base, I cut a slit in the edge of the cardboard to allow the wire to access the middle of the panel. I used the template one last time to transfer the centerline of the catapult track to the foam. It was now time to 3D model the blast deflector and all of the details I wanted to include in the diorama. I used FreeCAD, which, surprise, can be downloaded for free. I found this software pretty easy to use for mechanical models with simple geometry, which is perfect for this project. I decided to include some clips of the 3D modeling process just to show how straightforward it is. All of the CAD files I used on this project are available to my Patreons. If you're not a Patreon of mine yet, you can still download them for a small fee on my Patreon site's product page. I decided to purchase a resin 3D printer before starting this project. I went with the Anycubic Photon Mono 2 combo pack, which also comes with the Wash and Cure 3. I'm really happy with it so far, and I'm really excited about the possibilities this opens up for future dioramas and model builds. For this project, I purchased Anycubic's Water Wash Resin Plus. The prints are a bit more brittle than standard resin, but the odor is much less, and water is obviously more cost effective than isopropyl alcohol. However, I do plan to experiment with different resins in the future. I like how the curing station doubles as a wash station, and the curing mode has a turntable with UV light tower and a flexible UV light that can be positioned to help cure areas that are shielded from the light tower. The build size is only 3.5 by 6 inches, but larger prints can be split in the slicing software. I'm actually happy with the print resolution too. After priming and painting, the layer lines are no longer visible in most cases. I used 0.5mm plastic boards to laminate the sides of the diorama. For an exact fit, I held the boards to the foam and traced with a pencil on the back side. After trying a few different adhesives, I found the clear Gorilla Glue the best choice, as it creates a strong and flexible bond between the foam and the polystyrene board. I would recommend sanding the plastic to abrade the surface and give the adhesive something to bite into. With the sides complete, I used 1mm board on the deck surface. I chose a thicker board for the deck because I planned to punch holes for the tie-down locations and wanted some extra rigidity. I temporarily located all of the top panels and began marking the catapult location and then the tie-down locations off of the center line. With the deck pieces bonded and cured in place, it was time to fill the seams. A lot of times I like to use CA glue. In this case it's a rubberized CA glue, which is a little more flexible. And one of the reasons I like to do this is because I can hit it with a kicker and it cures it instantly. And then I can keep working. I can go ahead and sand it right away and then keep testing it and filling it. And it just keeps the workflow going. I really like it. The leading edge of the angled deck is another geometry that the 3D printer came in very handy for. I was trying to be very careful to align that leading edge to the top deck so that I could minimize the amount of filling and sanding. To make a personnel safety net, I took some metal rod and did my best to solder it together, and then took this metal mesh that I found on Amazon and cut it to size and kind of wrapped it around the frame. Aircraft carrier decks have a very rough surface, so I used this rust texture to try to imitate that effect, but also keep it in scale because this 172 scale model needed to have a real fine, gritty texture to it. So the rust effect was the perfect product to use for that. I picked up this Pilot and Rio figure set from Def Model. The detail is great for 172, and they fit into the Academy kit nicely. I also purchased these deck crew figures from Temu. I had a difficult time finding crew figures in 172, so this ended up being my best option. I used liquid mask to bond the feet of the figures to the tongue depressor, and that worked really well. I first primed all of the figures black and then sprayed a white layer straight down onto the figures to highlight the top surfaces of all the details. I thinned acrylic brush paints with water on my wet palette and painted thin coats in an attempt to allow the highlights below to show through naturally. I use Winsor & Newton oils to create a lot of different weathering effects here. They're very versatile, so I use black and brown for panel liners. I use lighter shades of the painted color to pick out highlights. I mixed blue and yellow to make a mossy green to kind of represent some areas where maybe some moss was growing from moisture. And then also you can use orange and brown to create rust effects. So I really love the control you can get with oil paints. With weathering complete, it was time for final assembly. I picked up a piece of blue felt from my local craft store to represent the ocean below, and I used just regular PVA glue to bond it in place. To secure the main diorama, I used the Gorilla Clear Glue again because the bottom surface is exposed foam and I don't want to melt that foam, so this glue is perfect for that. And with the pilot and Rio safely in the aircraft, all that's left to do is to place the plane and the crew on the deck, and this diorama is complete. If you're still watching at this point, I'm assuming you really enjoyed this video, so I hope you'll give it a like, subscribe, share with a friend, and don't forget to visit my Patreon page, where I'm going to be giving updates on all my projects with high-res photos, and there's different downloads that are available there as well. But no pressure. I really do appreciate your support, and God bless.